Thank you, everybody. So we know that the Trump administration's attacks on free speech threaten everyone living in the United States, but we also know that their first line of attack is academia. Despite the complicity of some academic institutions with crimes against humanity through their research, contracts, and investments, colleges and universities at their best play another more positive role in social change work for peace and justice. The combination of critical research and analysis with imagination, idealism, and energy of youth helps nurture our next generation of thought leaders in social justice activism. I'd like to see a show of hands. How many of you here got your start as an activist on a college campus? Oh. Or before. Maybe it was. And it's great that people can come to activism at all stages in their life. I definitely credit my time at Swarthmore College in the 1980s with launching a lifetime of social activism, even though some of my activism was harshly critical of the college itself, especially at that time because Swarthmore's investments were sustaining the racist apartheid regime in South Africa. I was part of the student movement then that succeeded in forcing the college to divest, which was part of an international movement that eventually brought down the apartheid government and led to representational democracy in South Africa. We were able to achieve that victory because Swarthmore's educational philosophy and policies at the time allowed for free expression by students, even when it was challenging to the college administration and disruptive of life on campus. The times have changed, and we're seeing a dramatic shift toward repression of student rights on campus, much to the detriment of our movement and to the future of academia. Even at institutions like Swarthmore, which have a long history of progressive student activism, which the college itself touts as a selling point to prospective students. I call on all students to, and their allies, such as ourselves, to resist and refuse to be silenced. I'd now like to read a statement from the Swarthmore Alumni for Palestine group about recent developments on campus. As alumni, we are deeply disturbed that the Swarthmore administration has chosen to double down on its crackdown on protest, again sanctioning student organizers and inviting police onto campus to arrest protesters for their nonviolent direct action. Unprecedented in the history of that college to invite outside law enforcement officers onto campus. On April 30th, 2025, a group of Swarthmore students assembled on Trotter Lawn, reclaiming the space as the Hassam Shabbat Liberation Zone. Hassam Shabbat was a Palestinian journalist and university student who was killed by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza on March 24th, 2025. He was 23 years old. Taking inspiration from their peer Hassam Shabbat's unwavering commitment to truth and justice, students launched their encampment to demand that Swarthmore 1, divest from companies profiting from the Israeli genocide in Gaza and occupation of Palestine more broadly, and 2, defend its most vulnerable community members, including committing to not collaborate with ICE, DHS, or other federal agencies targeting students. As members of the Swarthmore Alumni for Palestine Collective, we fully support student demands for divestment and material protections for all students. In the past few days, Swarthmore, and this was a couple of weeks back, Swarthmore has interim suspended 6 students, it's now risen to 9, forcing them to leave campus immediately without due process. Most of the targeted students are first generation, low income. They have been stripped of all financial support for food and housing. Additionally, most of the targeted students are seniors and now at risk of not graduating as scheduled this May. Interim suspension was added to Swarthmore's new draconian student code of conduct in response to students' previous Gaza Solidarity Camp. The new measure allows Vice President of Student Affairs, Stephanie Ives, or any individual that she designates, to immediately sanction students without engaging the standard college judicial process. And I'll just note as an aside, I participated in many demonstrations that were similar in nature to the ones that were taking place at campus. Occupied the admissions office, disrupted Board of Managers meetings, camped out on campus. And there was only one of those that resulted in a disciplinary action. It was a peer-led process other students, holding a hearing. There was not this elimination, some special, the administration can step in patronizingly and take over discipline because they don't like the message of this speech. It does sound like Trump, and it's discouraging. In a letter to student protesters, VP of Student Affairs Stephanie Ives claimed that students were endangering vulnerable students with their protest, and yet, as students ask in Swarthmore SJP's statement on the suspensions, if Swarthmore cares about vulnerable students, we ask, why are they always the first ones to be unjustly punished? As alumni, we ask the same question. In addition to issuing interim suspensions, Swarthmore invited outside police onto campus to clear the encampment and arrest the remaining protesters. Over 30 police entered the encampment on the morning of Saturday, May 3rd, violently arresting 9 protesters. I myself wondered, is that an exaggeration? Then today I saw photographs of injuries, deep, huge bruises, lacerations, cops with their knees on people's backs to the ground. It was not, your gentle, easygoing thing. Many of us first came to Swarthmore because of its oft-professed commitment to peace, equity, and social responsibility, as well as Swarthmore's extensive history of student protest. It is shocking and shameful to watch Swarthmore double down on its repression of student protesters fighting to defend their Palestinian classmates in Gaza from genocide and their classmates at home from fascist targeting, all the more so in this moment of increased authoritarianism nationwide. In the midst of Swarthmore's hypocrisy, we look to the students and fight with them to build a more meaningful Swarthmore community. As alumni, we demand that Swarthmore immediately reverse the suspensions of the targeted students and drop all charges against the protesters who were arrested. If Swarthmore continues on this path of repressing students' free speech and right to protest, then alumni will have no choice but to take further action, which we have continued to do through an intensive lobbying campaign. And at the upcoming alumni reunion, there will be multiple expressions of our concern, both on the issue of the Swarthmore's investments in Israel and on the college culture that is now in alignment with the Trump administration in repressing free speech rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin.
Robin Lasersohn, the co-founder of Fettermans, outside the Constitution Center.
There is a petition, but I believe it is for alumni.
Yeah.
But I have joined this group, and one of my motivations was to try to build some more connections between the students and the alumni and community.